Did you know that the human brain is wired to remember stories 5 times better than plain facts? That's right. A study by the Stanford Graduate School of Business found that when information is wrapped in a story, people are 22 times more likely to remember it. Yet, even though storytelling is a natural part of our brains, most stories fail to create lasting impact. Why? It's all about the characters. In this video, we'll uncover why character arcs are the secret sauce to crafting compelling stories. It's not enough for a character to just appear on screen or in a book, they need to evolve. But how do you create characters that feel real and keep audiences hooked? How do their transformations make a story unforgettable? We'll dive deep into the science behind compelling characters and why their arcs matter more than you might think. By the end, you'll know why a character's journey is what makes or breaks a story and how to master it for your own storytelling success. Ready to create characters that people won't stop talking about? Let's jump in. Chapter 1: The Psychological Blueprint of a Hero. Have you ever wondered why some characters stick with you long after a story ends? It's all about psychology. Research shows that our brains are wired to connect with stories, especially characters we can relate to. The concept of mirror neurons plays a huge role. These are the brain cells that fire when we observe someone else's actions, making us feel as if we're experiencing them ourselves. That's why when a character struggles, we feel their pain, and when they triumph, we share their joy. A great character arc taps into this power. If you show a character struggling and evolving, viewers will relate because they see themselves in that journey. Think about the journey of Harry Potter. From a helpless orphan to the savior of the wizarding world, his arc mirrors many of our own personal growth struggles. According to research by Dr. Paul Zak, stories that connect emotionally with the audience increase oxytocin levels in the brain, helping us bond with characters. The more a character grows and changes, the stronger the connection. One strategy for crafting psychologically compelling characters is to make sure they start with flaws. We all have weaknesses. Why wouldn't a character? When viewers see a character overcoming flaws, it feels like a personal victory. Whether it's self-doubt or anger management, letting characters battle inner conflicts makes their arcs much more relatable. In fact, the deeper the internal conflict, the more compelling the character. Take Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. His internal struggle between good and evil is what ultimately drives the entire series. Without that struggle, he'd just be another space adventurer. Make your character's flaws clear, and let them evolve over time. This method taps into the brain's natural desire to see progress and change. Chapter 2: From Flat to Dynamic, the Secret of Transformation. We've all seen those characters who feel like they're stuck in one place. They don't change, and they don't grow. It makes the story feel flat, right? That's because character transformation is at the heart of any great narrative. A compelling character arc should transform someone who begins as a flawed individual into a stronger or more enlightened version of themselves. Think about the iconic character of Simba in The Lion King. He starts as a carefree cub, running from his responsibilities. But after his father's death, he has to face his past and take on the mantle of king. This transformation feels authentic because it's gradual. Psychology teaches us that people don't change overnight, and the same should go for your characters. Studies show that audiences love seeing a character grow over time. According to Dr. Melanie Green, a psychologist at the University of North Carolina, the more we see a character struggle, the more invested we become. This struggle, paired with a character's eventual transformation, triggers an emotional payoff. It's like watching a friend go through a tough time and finally come out stronger. You can't help but root for them. A powerful strategy here is the law of conservation of momentum. This means that once a character begins to change, they need to continue evolving at a steady pace. If their arc stalls, the audience's interest will too. Think of Tony Stark in the Iron Man series. His transformation from a self-centered billionaire to a selfless hero is gradual but steady, and each step feels earned. Another tactic is to create a character who challenges societal norms. Take the Hunger Games' Katniss Everdeen, for example. She starts as a survivor trying to protect her family, but by the end, she is the symbol of revolution. Her transformation mirrors the evolution of the society around her, which makes her journey even more gripping. Chapter 3: The Archetype Revolution. Breaking the mold. When it comes to characters, archetypes are an easy shortcut. They're the classic hero, the mentor, the villain. But here's the thing, relying too heavily on these cliches can make your story feel predictable. People are drawn to the unexpected. By subverting the classic archetypes, you can create characters that feel fresh and original. Let's look at Game of Thrones' Jaime Lannister. He starts off as the quintessential villain, arrogant, cold-hearted, and seemingly evil. But as the series progresses, we see his complex humanity. He's not just a villain, he's a man with deep flaws and the capacity for redemption. This reversal of the bad guy archetype is one of the reasons his character arc is so compelling. Psychologist Carl Jung popularized the idea of archetypes, but he also believed in the shadow self, the hidden part of us that represents our darker, unconscious traits. A great character arc involves bringing this shadow self to light. This concept is vital for breaking the mold and making characters multi-dimensional. A great strategy is to mix archetypes in unexpected ways. Think of the Matrix's Morpheus. He's the mentor archetype but also the catalyst for the hero's journey. By adding layers to the classic archetype, you keep the audience on their toes. This strategy is not only effective but psychologically satisfying. Another method is to take a secondary character and turn him into a primary one. Think of the way Breaking Bad starts with Walter White, a chemistry teacher turned drug kingpin. In the beginning, he's a secondary character in his own life, but as he transforms, he becomes the focal point of the entire story. People love these unexpected transformations because they feel real and raw. Breaking the mold is about taking what people expect and flipping it. People are bored with predictable characters. Push boundaries, challenge norms, and make your characters as surprising as they are compelling. Just remember, if you give your audience something familiar, make sure you twist it in a way they didn't see coming. If you're enjoying this content, make sure to subscribe to stay updated with all our storytelling tips and strategies. Chapter 4: The Power of Internal Conflict. Its personal internal conflict is what makes a character feel real. It's not just about fighting bad guys or solving problems in the world. It's about what's going on inside the character's mind. The most compelling characters face dilemmas that reflect their deepest desires and fears. This internal battle adds complexity and authenticity, making them relatable to the audience. After all, we all deal with personal struggles. In psychology, this is known as cognitive dissonance. It's the mental discomfort a person feels when their beliefs or actions conflict with each other. This internal discomfort is what drives a character's growth. Think of Frodo Baggins in The Lord of the Rings. His arc isn't about the external battle with Sauron, it's about his internal battle with the power of the One Ring. His self-doubt, fear, and sense of responsibility weigh on him every step of the way. Studies show that audiences connect most deeply with characters who face significant internal challenges. According to a 2016 study published in Psychology of Aesthetics, Creativity, and the Arts, people are more likely to emotionally engage with characters who reflect their own internal struggles. Characters who wrestle with their emotions, their past, or their moral compass feel like people we know, and this makes their stories unforgettable. One strategy to create strong internal conflict is to make sure it directly impacts the character's goals. Let's take Hamlet, for example. His indecision about avenging his father creates tension and stalls his action throughout the play. This is a great example of internal conflict driving the plot. When a character's desires conflict with their actions, the tension can create suspense and engage viewers on a deeper level. Internal conflict doesn't need to be complex. It can be as simple as a character's struggle to do the right thing. The key is to make sure the conflict feels real and relatable. Even a small internal conflict, when handled correctly, can make a character's journey feel genuine and personal. Don't shy away from showing a character's vulnerability or weakness. These moments of internal conflict help build an emotional connection with your audience. Chapter 5: The Ripple Effect. How characters shape their world. Great characters don't just change themselves, they also change the world around them. A compelling character arc impacts everything they touch, from relationships to environments. Their actions ripple through the story, making the world feel alive and reactive to their transformation. This ripple effect creates a more dynamic and engaging narrative. One of the best examples of this is the character of Katniss Everdeen in The Hunger Games. Katniss starts as a reluctant participant in a deadly game, but by the end of the series, she's a symbol of revolution. Her journey isn't just about her personal growth, it's about how her choices spark social change. The ripple effect is central to her arc, and it shows how one character's transformation can shape an entire world. In storytelling, this strategy is known as catalytic change. When a character experiences growth, they influence not just their own journey but the paths of other characters as well. This effect deepens the stakes of the story, as the character's personal decisions resonate throughout the narrative. For instance, in Breaking Bad, Walter White's transformation from a mild-mannered teacher to a drug kingpin forces other characters, like Jesse Pinkman and Hank Schrader, to evolve in response. His choices don't just impact his life, they shake up everyone's world. A study by Dr. Jodie A. Maddox from the University of Georgia highlights the impact of character-driven change on audience engagement. She found that viewers become more emotionally invested when they see a character's transformation create a broader social or relational change. This adds depth and importance to the character's journey. Another technique is to show how the character's arc challenges societal norms. When characters break boundaries or defy expectations, they force other characters and the world to adapt. This is especially evident in The Dark Knight, where Batman's moral choices force Gotham to face its darkest truths. The character's evolution pushes the entire city to confront its own flaws, adding weight to every decision he makes. Characters who shape their environment also give the story a sense of consequence. The audience feels that what happens matters, not just to the protagonist but to the world at large. This strategy can elevate your story by showing that the character's journey has a lasting impact on their surroundings, relationships, and even culture. Chapter 6: Why Arcs Are the Soul of Storytelling, Science Meets Art. A great character arc isn't just a narrative structure, it's the beating heart of storytelling. The science behind why character arcs matter lies in how the brain processes stories. When a character undergoes a transformation, it triggers a cascade of emotional responses. Our brains are wired to appreciate growth, struggle, and change. This biological reaction is why stories with strong character arcs feel so satisfying. In The Psychology of Storytelling, Dr. Jonathan Gottschall explains that humans have evolved to be storytellers. Stories help us make sense of the world, and the best stories reflect our deepest psychological needs. A well-constructed character arc taps into these needs, providing not just entertainment but a deeper emotional connection. It's the emotional engagement with the character's arc that gives the story its power. Studies have shown that audiences experience a physiological response when they connect with a character's journey. When a character grows, our brains release dopamine, the chemical associated with pleasure and reward. That's why we feel so good when a character we've been rooting for overcomes their struggles. According to a 2018 study published in Cognition, viewers who emotionally connect with a character's growth are more likely to remember the story long after it's over. This connection boosts the overall impact of the narrative. A great character arc also reflects the balance between art and science. On one hand, it follows proven psychological principles of human behavior, like the need for emotional growth, conflict resolution, and self-discovery. On the other hand, it taps into the art of storytelling, using narrative techniques to build tension, provide catharsis, and deliver satisfaction. This duality is what makes character arcs so powerful. Think about the arc of Walter White in Breaking Bad. His transformation is a perfect example of this science meets art concept. His journey is rooted in the real psychological conflicts of pride, fear, and ego, but it is crafted with masterful storytelling techniques that make every step of his evolution feel inevitable and earned. Viewers can't help but be drawn into his moral descent, because his arc resonates with universal human struggles. One technique for crafting a powerful arc is to make sure the character's growth is rooted in their deepest desires and flaws. A character should evolve in a way that feels both logical and emotional. The science of storytelling teaches us that when character arcs are both emotionally engaging and psychologically credible, they create the kind of stories that stay with us long after the credits roll. In conclusion, great character arcs are not just a tool for creating plot, they're a way to deeply engage audiences on a psychological level. They make the story feel real, meaningful, and memorable. By understanding the science behind character growth, internal conflict, and societal change, you can craft compelling characters that resonate with audiences long after they've turned off the screen. Make sure to subscribe for more storytelling tips, tricks, and strategies.